Welcome to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey from vision to reality. I'm Kelly Jackson, your guide on this path of self-discovery, transformation, and intentional living. Here, we explore everything from mindset shifts and personal growth to spiritual alignment and entrepreneurship, sharing insights, stories, and actionable wisdom to help you live a life in harmony with your dreams. Every episode will dig into what it means to not only dream big, but to actually consciously create the life you envision. Let's turn your dreams into real life. Hey guys, I'm so happy that you're here tuning in. Thanks for being here. Today's episode, it was actually a request. And I realized there is definitely a need for this, and it's something that lights me up. I love to have these kinds of conversations. And the kinds of conversations I'm talking about are conversations about organization. I love organization. I am a very organized person, and this is something that I want this conversation. I'm going to start off by saying this. This is going to be approachable. It's going to be fun. It's going to be empowering, and it's going to be clear. And this is not perfectionism, okay? It's clarity. So ground into that. Keep that in mind. I'm going to be sharing lots of personal stories here because this has been a big part of my journey. And I'm glad that this was requested because I think this is a great time to have this conversation. And, you know, if your outer world feels chaotic, chances are your inner world does too, and vice versa. I believe I've always been naturally organized, but I've also learned how powerful organization is energetically, not just aesthetically. And the deeper my understanding of this has gone, the more I've realized it's deeper than clean countertops, okay? This is about feeling clear and capable and in control of your life. So this episode, this is going to be about how organizing your personal space, your physical space, your digital space, your time, and your mental energy can radically improve your clarity and self-trust and emotional well-being. And I'm definitely going to give y'all some tips and tricks, some things that, organizational tips that I have used, some things that you can, actionable stuff that you can actually just integrate now. As always, take what is for you, leave what's not. Okay. So let's jump in because this is going to be good. So why does organization even matter? Okay. Because it's beyond tidy drawers. And look, I used to not have tidy drawers. We're going to get into all this. Okay. And what I'm saying is this is beyond. It's not just about having tidy drawers, okay? Organization equals clarity. When your physical space is clear, your nervous system can relax. You can think more clearly, feel more empowered, and take aligned action. Clutter is a decision deferred. So this is what I mean by that. Every pile, every digital mess, because we can't just think in the physical world. Now we live in a digital world. And so just like, this might be a good time to mention this. You may even be doing a really stellar job of keeping your physical environment organized and tidy. Yet there's something that still feels like a little like overwhelming, a little like, what is this building? What is this looming feeling that of like I can't quite get ahead of it, get on top of it, get out from under it. This feeling that you can't really pinpoint. And what it may be is that you are like drowning in digital clutter. It might be like that, your email inbox that you just are dreading, avoiding, was with someone just this morning and they had their phone right there and they had like nearly 500 unread text messages on the bubble. And I kind of giggled because there was a time 10 years ago, that was me. That was me. At any given time, I probably had hundreds of unread text messages and hundreds of thousands of unread emails. Okay. That wears on you. That kind of stuff. So we're gonna be talking a little bit about all this, a little bit about our physical space, yes, digital space, but also energetic space, okay? And the mental energy, just all of this stuff. So every pile, every digital mess you have, okay, it is a backlog, rather, of all of these micro decisions that you haven't made. And so clearing clutter is energetic closure. One of the things that, and the request for this episode came on the heels, they had listened to a while back, but an episode where I talked about doom boxes or a doom pile. And that's an acronym, DOOM, didn't organize, only moved. And so we create these doom piles or these doom bags or doom boxes. I was famous for doing this long before I ever knew there was like a name for it, right? I would do this and I would just, doesn't it make sense? Didn't organize, only moved. You just have these things that you just keep restacking, but you never actually take the time to just sit there and sort it. Maybe because it doesn't have like a real exact place. You're not really exactly sure what to do with it. So you just keep moving it, right? And this is the kind of thing we're talking about. So clutter is a decision deferred, if you think of it that way. And if you think in the terms of these doom piles or doom bags, doom boxes, you could make the decision to stop, sort, put away, do what you need to do with everything. However, for whatever reason, maybe it's not a priority. Again, this isn't to shame, it's just to bring clarity and awareness. But for whatever reason, instead of dealing with it, you deferred that decision. I will deal with it later. Okay? And so it's a backlog of these micro decisions that you haven't made. That's why when we clear the clutter, we close that energetic space, okay? Organizing is a form of self-respect in that way. It's not about being type A or any of that kind of stuff, okay? It's about honoring your time and your energy and your environment as a sacred space. One of my mantras is, I deserve to live and work in a clean space. I have to say this, before I even get into this, you have to understand, if you have never gone to my pinned post on @B_what-you-want on Instagram, you will see a picture of my art studio and some other things from my life, but you will see when I was struggling in my life with mental health and physical health and unhealthy relationships and just all of the different things. And I was very, very organized. I even had an across the street neighbor who was a friend who she would come over and she would say, she's like, you have the most organized clutter I've ever seen. I had so much stuff and I was very organized, but what would happen with me is I would just get very overwhelmed because I had a lot of stuff and I was really good about, and this was probably ADHD tendencies as well, along with all the other mental health and other things I was going through at the time. But I would have great organization in place. Everything, it was storage, everything was labeled, and it was all very, there was, however, I just had so much stuff, and I would just, for my creative projects, and I didn't have the mindset yet of really picking up after myself. So I would just let things, they would just pile up and they would clutter, and I was deferring those decisions for sure. And I was allowing myself to just have this clutter and chaos everywhere. And yes, I can look back now and see that that was a physical manifestation of my inner world. I can see that. And so what I'm saying is, I've another example I'll give. My like sock and underwear drawer. Okay. My socks, I used to just wad them into the little balls, where you get both socks and you roll them into a little ball. And I would just like throw all my socks in a balls in a drawer, and they would just be overflowing, and you would just open the drawer and just like dig for the little ball of socks that you needed. Same with the panties. I might have even had panties and bras all just like thrown in a same drawer. Maybe they were in different drawers, but basically it's like, it was just, you just open the drawer, throw them in there, and then you just dig for them. Hey, that was how I did it for a couple decades, and that might be how you do it. I'm no shame. What I'm saying is this. Organization is trauma informed. Okay. People who have experienced chaos or instability often crave order, and it's not about control, guys. It's about nervous system regulation. So one of the things for me that helped me at the beginning of my intentional journey of self, 2016, back when I started this whole journey that led me to where I am today, a book that kind of found me was The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. And it was really through the process of reading that book and integrating what she said and making intentional choices, like I learned how to, and discovering really who I am, the whole process, not just the book, but all of the things and what I'm deserve and what I want and what I'm worthy of and all of the stuff. And I realized that I love to, like, let's say walk into a store and you open the drawers and all of the panties are folded, or all of the bras are lined up, right? Or the socks. Like I know the things that I feel are beautiful and that I love and that make me feel calm and peaceful, but I wasn't living that way. So now, and for the last, better part of 10 years, it's like all of my socks, they're nicely folded, right? And they're organized in rows. I can see the top by color, by style, by whatever. Same with my panties, same with my bras, same with, those sorts of things. It's like, it just looks like, it's all so beautiful. And it's actually more simple. It's not more difficult. It was felt totally unrealistic at one point in my life. Like totally unrealistic. Like that was laughable. Like that I would even care about something like that, or that something like that would really make a difference in my life. But I'm here to tell you that it really has. And that's just another example. I used to grew up my whole life believing that everyone has a junk drawer, that like there is just a drawer in your kitchen or something that is your junk drawer. And that when you open it up, stuff's like overflowing and you can like barely close it. And sometimes it gets stuck because there's so much stuff in there, and that it's just a bunch of random stuff, this is a junk drawer. And I just thought everybody had a junk drawer. And what I realized is like, you don't have to have a junk drawer. I actually have drawers in my house that have nothing in them, like that aren't even being used. And I do not have a junk drawer. I haven't had a junk drawer in years and years and years and years. And you know what? It feels really good. I don't have to have a junk drawer. And again, for me, this isn't about control. It's about nervous system regulation. Being organized doesn't mean being rigid, guys. It means you know what's where. And you've created flow. Okay? I want to I want to tell you another example. One of the things, and this was all kind of happening simultaneously. So I'm at the beginning of this intentional journey of self, and I had just, you know, divorced. So I just moved on my own. I had my daughters, of course, but so now I'm in a new space and everything's different because I came out of a 15-year relationship. And so it was like, I'm going to do things differently. I want to feel different, so I'm going to do things differently. And I had started traveling at the time and was using Airbnb because I just loved it. I was like, this is really cool. And I liked to stay in like homes and spaces like that. And I started realizing that I loved when I went into an Airbnb. Again, like it's like a home, right? And you could just, go into the kitchen and open the drawers because you could cook or do whatever. And you could open the bathroom, the pantry, just whatever it looked. I loved how it was just all clean and organized. And I was like, you know what? This is how I want my house to feel. This feels good. This is the feeling I'm going for. And I realized that that's what I wanted to achieve. That sense of calmness, of there wasn't clutter. It was just the things that you needed, right? And it was easy to find. And I was just like, I can do this. I can create a system in my own home and my own life where I can replicate this feeling. So I really wanted it to be about the feeling and the flow and just things feeling. I'm an artist. I wanted the home to feel, and I'm saying artist, designer, but I wanted art and design to be everywhere, even in places that you wouldn't expect it, right? So I wanted to even think about the insides of drawers and cabinets as being spaces to decorate or make look nice. Insides of closets, right? This goes beyond, because the thing is that even though maybe other people don't see it when they just walk into your home or your space, if they just walk in, they're not opening cabinets and drawers. But the thing is this is your space. This is your life. You are living here. You are working here. You are in this space. So you are opening everything. That is part of your everyday experience. Why wouldn't you want what's on the other side of that cabinet, drawer, curtain, door to make you feel good too? This was my mindset, right? And this is what really inspired me to move in this direction and to be intentional in this way and to create the kinds of shifts that would help me feel more grounded and help my life feel more authentic and more good, like what I wanted it to be. When you think about organizing your physical space, every room holds energy. So what is the energy that you feel when you walk into your home? Like, here's a little exercise. Next time you go into your home, or whenever, just when you do this exercise, you are going to leave your home for a while, at least I would say an hour or so. And then when you come back in, you want to walk into your home as if you were walking into your space for the first time. And the reason I said leave for like an hour or so, because you want enough time to get so that when you come back in, what is the smell? Because you're going to want to notice, what is the smell that you're greeted with when you walk into your home? You're really going to pay attention. And if you're just at home, you won't notice it. And if you just walk outside and walk back in, you probably won't notice it. But if you go to the coffee shop and sit in smelling the coffee beans for an hour, and then you go walk into your space, you'll be able to really kind of put yourself in the place of like, I want to experience what my home is like if I was to walk into it for the first time, right? What is the energy that I feel? And then and I'm saying that from someone else, but then I want you to do this from your perspective as well. And I want you to feel now, and this is an intentional practice, but like, what do you feel when you walk in to your home? So what would you feel if just someone came into your home who was a guest? And then what do you feel when you come into your home? And then what energy do you want to feel? And then what energy do you want your guests to feel? And that's a really good place to start, right? Because like I said, that's kind of where it was for me. Like going into those Airbnbs and staying in these places, I realized that there was something that just felt good. I liked opening the drawers and cabinets and them being, I just liked the way it felt. So how do you want things to feel? Another thing is like anchoring spaces is like anchoring habits, okay? Your desk, your kitchen, your vanity, these are like ritual spaces. Make them beautiful, make them functional. Your altar, right? So I know for me, my bathroom, the makeup vanity I have, it's in my bathroom. It is a functional space, yes, but it's also has these the pieces that I've chosen that are on this vanity, they mean something to me. Like they're very intentionally chosen. And I know you have spaces like this. And when I say this about anchor spaces equals anchor habits, I really want you to think about the spaces where you spend the most time. We're almost like these are the spaces that you are in every day. Because you may have spaces in your home, rooms even, that you don't go in every day. But there are rooms or spaces where they're ritual spaces. Again, like, your bathroom vanity, you're going to be there every day, twice a day, brushing your teeth, washing your face, doing the things that you need to do, right? Or your kitchen, you're going to be there every day. So really pay attention to these places. Maybe these are even good places to start, or to focus, or these meaning the anchor spaces. Also wanted to say, don't organize around clutter, okay? Organize around who you are becoming and let your space reflect your future self. There is, like I've mentioned this in an earlier podcast, but I got to mention it again. So when I was young, I don't even know. I mean, I was a child still is what I'm saying. And I used to love watching the Oprah show. And there was this guy, Nate Berkus, that tells you how long ago this was, who was on her show. And I will never forget this, though. I mean, I was very far away from, living on my own at the time that I probably heard this. But it stuck with me and I remembered it. And it said that your shampoo bottles, and they were in the bathroom, and your shampoo bottles and your soaps and like lotion bottles and stuff, they're not decor. Like they're not meant to be displayed in a row all along the side of your bathtub. And even though it did stick with me, I know that years after that, I didn't always integrate what he had said that day. And it kind of came back to me because I remember, I would definitely just leave all the stuff in a line, even if nobody was in the bathtub, right? However, when I started this intentional journey and doing the Marie Kondo book and all of this stuff, it was like that came back to me and I remembered it and I just remembered it so well. And I'm like, you know what? That's true. And now my bathroom has a beautiful like clawfoot tub, right? So it's just, there's not like a side of that bathtub, but I do have a little rail near the bathtub. But I have not, since I have been at this place 10 years now, I have made it a point to not ever leave anything out. I have this 4-drawer, it's an old antique piece of furniture with a mirror on the top, some sort of vanity, I don't know, but it's got 4 drawers and that's right next to the bathtub. And so that is where I keep all of the, the razor, the shampoo, the conditioner, the lotion, the just anything that you need to take for your bath. But guess what? When I go to run the water, I open the drawers, I take all the things out and I set them up. And then as soon as the bath's over, I put everything back up. This took intention. This took creating the habit to do this. I was not always like this, okay? It was just easy. It's like, I'm going to be taking a bath later, so I'm just going to leave it all out, right? But the thing is that it really, the whole idea of having a ritual, like this is part, just like dry brushing while the water is running, that's part of my ritual, right? You have the opportunity to design the kind of life that you want to live. And sometimes it takes time, effort, energy, right? To get to that place. It takes learning things. The thing is, though, what I want you to remember is that you get to design your life. You get to architect it. You get to truly design it. And this realization of like your own capability to really steer your life in a certain direction and experience life in a certain way is just astronomical. But we don't always, sometimes we just get caught up in life, and we forget. Or we're getting bogged down and we just forget that like we don't have to keep doing it the way we've been doing it. We can stop right now. We can pause. We can take a beat. We can take a step back. We can look with fresh eyes and we can be like, am I doing this am I just doing it this way because this is the way I've been doing it? Or am I doing it this way because this is who I want to be? This is the way I want to do it. And you get to make that choice, guys. You get to make that choice. I think that's like really what I'm getting at here. And who even ever knew that something as simple as like going from always leaving the side of my bathtub having a little row of shaving cream, lotions, oils, just all the stuff we have, razors, all just lined up, to now it's like, okay, I'm going to take a bath. I'm getting these, I'm opening the drawer. I'm taking out what I need for this bath. I'm putting it here because maybe I'm not doing a coffee exfoliant scrub at every bath. So I don't need to just leave that product there sitting on the bathtub, right? Or let's talk about like by your bathroom sink. Like again, I don't have anything there. Everything goes inside of cabinets, drawers. And when I need to do it, open it out. Open it, take it out, and then return it. And look, I'm living in a very small square footage space. So it's almost like I'm living in a space that's less than 1/5 of the size of the home that I left and when I moved into this space. So a really big downsize. And I at one point really believed and had the vision and dreamed that the girls and I were going to be renovating a school bus, making a schoolie and spending like 18 months, 2 years world schooling, just traveling the United States on this schoolie. And that's like 250 square foot max. And this was something I was intending on doing. Like I was on bus auctions. We had gone to the tiny house jamboree. Like it was a thing. We were doing it. And my dad has a hot rod shop right behind my apartment. So, I have the means to do it. Here's the thing. So with that vision, I knew I had to learn how to downsize and minimize and all of that. And even though I say that's my favorite dream that never came true because I realized the dream changed. However, I'm so glad because having that dream and knowing I was like preparing myself for that dream really taught me, because again, it was like I had a 3,200 square foot home before. Now I'm in about 6 to 7
600 square feet maybe. And this was going to be downsizing to 250. And so I had to learn, and the 3,200 square foot, that was with a couple 10 by 20 storage units, y'all. I had a lot of stuff. So I had to learn how to be more with less, right? And I might have gotten off on a little tangent there, but I feel like this is all connected. I want to switch since I said tangent. Let's switch for a little bit. Well, actually, no, I'm going to stay here. So you're organizing around who you're becoming. And that was kind of maybe where I was going with that, was like, I just check in. I'm like, am I doing this because it's just what I've been doing? Am I just going through the motions? Or like, am I doing this intentionally? At any place in time, at any time, you can make the choice that, like, starting now, I'm going to do things a little differently. Okay. I want you to also use the rule: if it doesn't spark clarity, creativity, or calm, it goes. Okay. Now, this is less about the stuff around your bathroom. We're just talking generally now. So with your clutter and organizing your physical space, and if it, another book, since I mentioned Marie Kondo, I will go ahead and mention her again. She has a second book called, I think it's called Spark Joy. And that's what she teaches in this book, is how to, hold things and just hold them in your hand. Each things you really want to truly hold it in your hand to feel the energy of the item and ask, does this spark joy? That's her thing. But I'm saying, does it spark clarity? Does it spark creativity? Does it spark calm? If not, it goes. Everything that's in my home now is something that I truly love or use, right? Your home is a mirror, okay? I want to ask you another question. So what rooms are, quote, hidden or messy in your life? What are you hiding or avoiding internally? And I just read something the other day. Gosh, I wish I could think of where I had read this or if I had marked it. But it was what they were saying. And I might have to pause and go see if I can find this, because what they were saying was that different rooms, like messes or clutter in different rooms, can signify different things. For instance, if your office is messy, that might be a different message than if your bedroom is the messy room, or if a closet is the messy room. Like, what is, right? Like, maybe you could just even go look that up on your own if you're curious about it, if you like that kind of insight, okay? Because I had read something that was pretty interesting about this. Now, but it's just good to think about that. Everything is a mirror. Your home is a mirror. So what rooms are hidden? What rooms are messy in your life? What are you hiding? What are you avoiding? Just internally as well. And use that information. Once you get it, use it. Use it. Apply it to your life. Do something with it. Okay? I'm going to share a little organizing tip here. And it is my house reset. This is so that the clutter doesn't build up. Now, once you we all get our house clean, and then the clutter just kind of can accumulate, right? It happens. We're humans. We live lives. We're busy people, right? We have lots going on. And so the clutter can pile up, and especially if you have multiple people living in your home. So one of the things that has been a game changer for me, because again, I deserve to live and work in a clean space. I know that my nervous system is so much more relaxed and regulated when my space is tidy. I just know. I mean, I know through lived experience that this is a fact. And I know that I enjoy life more when my space is clean. guys, I'm not talking about like, again, psychotic clean, like where you're just a clean freak clean, like over the top. I'm just saying generally keeping your space tidy, right? Okay. The house reset is the game changer for me because what this is like 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's it. And you just 5 to 10 minutes every day, you just do a house reset. You do a swipe. Maybe there's a certain time of the day. Maybe you do your house reset at night before you go to bed. Maybe you do it in morning after the kids go to school. Maybe you do it on your lunch break, like clean up from the morning, get ready for the afternoon, or right before your kids get home from school. I don't know, guys. Everybody, we're all at different stages and phases of our lives. So I can't tell you when to do yours. And maybe it's just you do it when it needs it that day. But what I'm saying is this: you get in the habit of doing a daily house reset, 5 to 10 minutes. You can even set a timer. And you are just going to go through your home and pick up. This is going to help prevent those doom piles from stacking up, right? This is just where you're going to go make sure, or there's some clothes or shoes by the bathtub that didn't get put in the hamper. Is there a dish or two in the sink that didn't get washed? Is there something that just needs to be done, that needs to be picked up? Did you bring some groceries in, or did you go shopping and you need to put the bags away? Did you do laundry and you need to put it away? Whatever it is, maybe you folded it and it's sitting on the couch. Do you know what I'm talking about? Just the little stuff. There are some times, and again, I told you I live in like 600 square feet. The kitchen is tiny. And I kind of started this and then got away from it, and then now I'm going to circle back around to it. Part of mentioning, actually, when I had the bigger home, so the 3,200 square foot home, and it's the 600 now, right? So it's actually like the smaller home can feel more cluttered, right? Even though I had so much more stuff there in this little bitty kitchen, it just does not take, like, you got 3 things. I got like the toaster out. I have a couple dishes in the dish rack because I don't have a dishwasher. And like there's just a couple things out, and I feel I have no counter space. You can't even see, right? And so this little house reset, it's amazing. Look, even if I will, and sometimes I might be like, I really need to get out the door, but it's like, Kelly, if you just take the 1 minute to put the toaster back where it goes, to put this bread back into the pantry, to put away these 5 dishes, to, whatever the case may be, these couple little things that need to be done, just to see and feel the difference of that space. It's like, I know it feels better. And another thing that we're going to come back to that. But so the house reset is just going through and just doing these little things, picking up what needs, what maybe there's a blanket that just got left on the couch. So you were watching a movie last night and you just need to fold it and put it in the cabinet, whatever the case may be. And if you have kids, if you got a family, you can do this with them too. You can set the timer and everybody can, for 5 minutes, everybody plays a part. Hey, or just for the length of a song. Maybe you have a favorite song. You play that song, and for the length of that song, sing, dance while you do it. And when the song's over, you're done, okay? These are just simple ways that you can stay on top of things, and it doesn't get so overwhelming. And if you just integrate this, like truly, I'm saying just, I know it doesn't always, sometimes it's easier said than done. What I'm saying is the time and energy and an emotional real estate that you will get back by integrating a simple practice like this into your life and making it a ritual and making it a habit. It's like you're gonna go, golly, okay, yeah, now I get it. That's why I had to do that, because that's worth it. Truly, when you get on the other side, you're like, yeah, it makes sense now. So let's talk too about organizing your digital space and your time. Digital clutter is clutter, period. Okay. Your desktop, your inbox, your calendar, they are a reflection of your mental load. And your calendar is your boundary. It's where you say yes or no to yourself and others. And this is something that my calendar is something that I use now. And it's not something that I really used before. And now that I do use the calendar to schedule, to prioritize, to time block, to organize, I recognize how integral it is to organize your time. If you are not utilizing your calendar, and look, you can use your digital calendar. I also have analog calendars that I use. I love a good analog calendar. I use both, actually. I use them together. Here's the thing, going back to it though. If you're not using your calendar, you're missing an opportunity to set yourself up for more freedom in your life. And I used to have the misconception that using a calendar, I was like, I want to be free. I want to do whatever I want, whenever I want. I don't want to be locked into a calendar. And that was not the best way for me to be thinking. And it took some lived experiences for me to realize that and to learn that real freedom comes from having a very organized calendar, not a rigid calendar where there's no time for anything or that you have to stick by this really rigid schedule. No. But I'm talking about a calendar a year at a glance. I want to know what big projects I'm working on. I want to know what small projects I'm working on. I want to know where I'm headed. I want to know what my week looks like, what my month looks like. And I want to schedule in time for the things that are important to me: walking, being in nature, exercising, going to the gym, being with my family, right? Having, family night and cooking and being with the girls, doing these kind of things. I want to make sure that is planned into my calendar and prioritized. And my work, my focused work, that I time block times for that one. I'm going to be just like today. I'm batch recording. This is what I do, guys. I book the recording studio and I'll come in for, between 4 and 6 hours, and I will batch record. I will just come in prepared with some outlines, and I'm sitting here, like I've told y'all before, I'm sitting in an empty room in here in the recording studio. There's a little glass two-way, mirror into the sound room and recording studio. And I can see not one, but 2 of my reflections in this glass because it's soundproof. So I'm kind of just in here by myself talking to you and in the company of my 2 reflections. But this is what I do. And I come in here and I know that if I batch record, if I block this out, then I can stay ahead on the content, make sure it's uploaded, make sure I've got social media content prepared for everybody. You understand what I'm saying? The freedom comes because now after this, I know I'm a month ahead, right, on my podcast. So now I can relax, right? I'm free. I'm truly free because there's power in planning, and I'm organizing my life in a way where and actually batch creating is probably a really big tip for organization as well. We can talk a little bit more about that, but it's about, and especially, you guys know I'm an entrepreneur, but even if you're not an entrepreneur, and especially if you are, organization is imperative. and your calendar is a boundary. Okay. Again, it's where you say yes or no to yourself and to others. Also, the way that you name files and group tasks and schedule things matters. Systems create spaciousness. This is one thing. Systems and flow. That's like my two big focuses, right? Create systems that work for you. If things are feeling a little chaotic, ask yourself, do I even have a system in place for this? Because we might just be willy-nilly in it through life. Like I know, again, I've told y'all, I've been an entrepreneur since college, but I had lots of businesses that I started before I knew the things that I know now. And I was not having systems in place, and it showed. And it showed, especially when it comes to scalability. But even in your life, like running a household, even just running your household, even if you're not running a business, okay, you got to have systems in place, and the systems create the spaciousness. So think about that. Also, create a rhythm for resets, like weekly, monthly, quarterly cleanups for your digital world. I had said systems and flow, but really it's systems, rhythms, and flow. Okay. So that's why I'm saying create a rhythm for resets. And don't keep everything in your head, offload it into trusted systems so you can free your brain to be creative and not clogged. How do you organize your time and calendar? Like right now, do you time block? Do you theme your days? Do you have any rituals? I don't know. I'm not saying that there's this one answer, this one size fits all answer for everyone. But I will say that if you're not time blocking, why not? Like truly, why not? Again, it doesn't have to be a rigid schedule, but time block. And if you haven't been doing it, try it. And do you have any rituals? And think about some of the rituals that we talked about, okay? And do you have any that I didn't talk about? Or do you have any that maybe you've seen someone else talk about or share, and you've been interested in wondering what that would look or feel like in your life? Well, time block it in to try it. That's what I'm saying. Organizing your inner world is another thing that's really important, and clarity starts inside. What thoughts, beliefs, or habits do you have right now that are creating chaos? We all have them. We all have something. So if you journal, this is like mental organization, okay? Journaling is one place that you could take something like that question. What thoughts, beliefs, or habits are creating chaos in my life? And you could journal about it. You could reflect on it. Okay? Journaling is mental organization. Now, meditation is energetic organization. You could meditate on that question. You could reflect on it that way, right? Therapy or coaching is emotional organization. All of these different modalities are helping us organize our life and our inner world. And as above, so below, as within, so without, right? If you want your outer world to change, shift your inner world. And if your inner world changes, your outer world must change. So what I'm saying is you organize your inner world, your outer world must change and become more organized. Like it's inevitable. That's law. That's universal law. So it's worth it to spend some energy, time, focus, attention on organizing your inner world. Your subconscious cannot thrive in chaos, guys. It needs containers. It needs safety. And of course, that makes me think of masculine and feminine, this feminine flow needs the strong masculine container. And safety, that makes me think of the root chakra. We've got to ground into the root, right? So that ground to rise, or root to rise, as it's said. Organizing your mind is not about shutting down emotion. It's about creating enough structure to process emotion with love. Okay? And I think that's the part we got to focus on through all this. Like, we're doing this from a place of love. Again, self-shaming is not self-sabotage. And when all of these conversations we're having, this is not, because I've been places in my life. I remember when when the girls were young, like we're talking under 1 and 3, they were both toddlers, and they were going to daycare at the time. And it was just, the truck was always, I had a truck, and it was always a mess. And there was another mom who would always come and just love to come over to the car and peek her head in to see the kids, or want to open the door. Oh, can I see the kids? And I would feel my whole body clench up, because I knew I couldn't even stand the own clutter in my car, but it was where I was at, right? But it was like, I was fine dealing with it. I guess I'd gotten used to it. I accepted it for what it was. But then when someone tried to come into my space and witness me and perceive me in my clutter and mess, I couldn't take it. It felt so infuriating, and it felt like such an invasion, and I just didn't like it. And that turned into this bitterness towards this other parent. I didn't like this person because they always came to the car. But what I really didn't like was the way I felt. And it was this shame that I was feeling, because I knew that I wanted my vehicle to be clean, but I didn't know at that time how to do it. I couldn't seem to do it. It just stayed a mess. But what I'm saying is this: I remember that feeling. Again, what I explained was I just didn't like her. But then in hindsight and through this work and reflecting, and I realized, no, that wasn't the case. I felt embarrassed and ashamed. But what I'm saying is, I didn't need to feel ashamed or embarrassed. I can recognize those are the feelings I was feeling, but I'm saying now I didn't need to feel those feelings, and I understand that now. And I'm telling you that maybe that's the season you're in, and it's a mess, and you can't even see your floorboard. If you're listening, this isn't meant to shame you, and I don't want it to, and that would be counterproductive if it did. Just planting some seeds. And if I would have heard this podcast episode in that season of my life, I don't know that it would have changed anything. Maybe it would have. I don't know, because it was where I was at, but it would have at least planted a seed, right? And so what I'm saying is this will meet you where you are. And so it's okay if you're not super organized right now. That doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. That doesn't mean that you're broken. That doesn't mean you need to be fixed. And that doesn't mean that you're a bad person, right? Just, it's where you are. I'm introducing some ideas, some things that have, like, not only are they scientifically proven, but have really and truly completely transformed my life and my business and everything. And so I feel like I've got to share it. I have to share it. I have to. Okay. So, if you're feeling overwhelmed, ask yourself, what can I take off my plate? What can I systemize? Or what can I delegate? What can I take off my plate? What can I systemize? What can I delegate? Okay. Systems. And also, systems. And then, yes, delegating, and just some things, saying no. What can I say no to? I want to also remind you that in addition to journaling, there are other somatic practices and rituals and things that can help you stay aligned and help you organize your thoughts and emotions. And, you know, Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, breath work, moon circles. I've been, I do those sister circles, things like this. Like, guys, I'm just throwing a couple things out there, but just, it's important. This is important work. You are worth it. You're important. Okay. Now, going back to systems, though. Systems create freedom. Okay. A system is a repeatable way to support yourself, whether it is how you clean your house, how you onboard a client. Okay. Systems reduce stress. That's why I'm telling you that check in with your systems. How are they working for you? Do you even have a system? Okay. It's a repeatable way to support yourself. Also, organization doesn't trap you, just like your calendar doesn't trap you. Okay. It frees you to focus on what matters most. Creating rhythms, daily, weekly, seasonal. This is going to build trust and flow in your life. That's why we want to do that. Create some sort of a rhythm. And look, and it may change when I say seasonal. I'll give you an example. We have a daily rhythm when school's in session. I have 2 daughters, right? We have a daily rhythm when school is in session. We have a weekly rhythm. But then we have a seasonal rhythm too, because right now we're in the middle of summer break. So our rhythm looks totally different during the summer than it looks during the school year, right? That's just an example of what I might mean by that. Another thing is that you don't need to overhaul everything in your life all at once. Start small. 1 drawer, maybe that junk drawer. 1 task, maybe one of the ones that we've mentioned in this show so far. 1 ritual. Clarity compounds, guys. Okay, so just start. I also like this idea that organization is emotional hygiene. It tells your brain we're safe, we are supported, and we are sovereign. I have systems in place in my business, definitely. Got to do that. SOPs, standard operating procedures, systems. And look, systems of automation. That's another thing that I didn't used to have in my business were automated systems. And this is something that was absolutely it was to grow and expand in the way that I knew I wanted to and needed to grow and expand. I had to automate systems. I had to do it. And kind of like batch creation, that is a system. Just like I mentioned earlier, batch creating these episodes, that is a system that's in place. Okay, and it works. I have systems at home. I have systems in how I run the household, systems in how I do things with my daughters, right? And even my personal care routines. All of this supports my energy and creativity. And this is a holistic approach, right? You look at your life holistically. You take a step back and you look at the bigger picture. We can lose if we focus in too tightly on one little aspect and we lose sight. What is the saying? Don't miss the forest for the trees type of thing. So we're zoomed in too tightly. we might be, we need the more comprehensive snapshot of our life and business so that we can really organize it in a way, in a holistic way. Like we're just like, how does it all connect? Okay. You are worthy of peace and ease and clarity. Okay. Organizing your life isn't a chore. I mean, it's not, even if it sounds like it. I'm telling you, it's not. It's a way to say, I matter. You're doing yourself a favor. You're doing yourself a solid, okay? We sabotage our peace when we accept chaos as normal. And organization is how we reclaim that peace. The most magnetic people are energetically clear. Okay? And if you think about it, organization supports your frequency. And Self-Love Uni was designed with rhythm and systems and support. Because healing happens in structure and safety creates transformation. Which is why I want to invite you into Self-Love Uni. Okay? It's about holding yourself well. And that includes the spaces you live in, the thoughts you think, the life you build. Okay? I think there's one more thing I want to end with. Some quick wins for organizing your life here. Now, this is like 3 to 5 easy takeaways that you can implement today. 1, I want you to pick one space to reset today. 1 drawer, 1 desktop, 1 inbox. And I want you to do it with intention. You know, there's something I keep seeing it over and over, and so I feel like I want to say it here, that action creates motivation. So maybe you haven't felt motivated to do some of these things, like organize your life and house, okay? Here's the thing. Take action. Pick one space to reset today. That is going to create, taking that action will actually create the motivation. Or rather, I should say, momentum creates motivation. So get the momentum going. You know, do this. Do this one thing. Do it with intention. Allow the momentum to build, and then you will become motivated to do this in more spaces and to expand the area that you are organizing and resetting, okay? Also, number 2, so I was going to give you 3 to 5. I want you to name your season. Are you in a season of planting, harvesting? Okay? Let that guide your organization because we're all in different seasons. So name your season. Number 3, create a daily or weekly reset ritual. So light a candle, play music, and reset your environment and your energy. Maybe you adopt the one I suggested, the house reset, the 5 to 10 minute house reset. You set a timer or you play music, you play a song. I mean, you know, songs are somewhere around 4 or 5 minutes, so you can just play a song or play 2 songs, okay? Reset your environment and your energy. And definitely, I like to light a candle. I like to light incense. I like to have the essential oils going. There's always something. I'm always adding a smell. I love a smell, right? And then what I like about the candles too, it's just the ambiance of a candle being lit. So that's kind of nice. Now, number 4, batch your tasks. because I've mentioned batch working a couple times. So I want you to put like with like, meaning cleaning, emails, errands. Your brain thrives on the momentum. So try this just for this week or just for a day. Batch your task like you're just going to do this stuff together, okay? And just see what happens. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I don't know. It works for me, which is why I'm telling you to do it. Or suggesting you do it. Now, number 5, my number 5 quick win for organizing your life is going to be, ask this mantra often. What can I simplify? What can I simplify? This, like I said, when I was thinking and planning that we were going to do the schoolie, I was having to ask that question a lot. What can I simplify? What can I simplify? What can I simplify? And so get good at asking yourself that question. You don't have to be perfect. You just need to be intentional. Organization is about neat spaces. Absolutely it is. It's also about creating clear containers for the life that you want to live. Okay? I want to invite you into Self-Love Uni and or my coaching containers. This is for anyone who is ready to go deeper into structure and rhythm and aligned systems of support. I'm going to have all the links down below. And I hope that you lean into this idea of organization and realize that organizing your life and your spaces and your internal world is such a great gift that you can give yourself. Again, we're going to flip it. It's not a chore. It's not something you have to do. It's something you get to do for yourself. See you next week, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It. I hope today's episode sparked something powerful within you. Remember, every step you take towards your vision counts, no matter how small. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please take a second to hit that subscribe button or leave a review. That would be amazing. Or share the podcast with someone who's ready to bring their dreams into reality too. And if you're looking to dive deeper, connect with me on social media at Dreamed It, Then Real Lifed It, or at BE_what you want. Or visit dreameditthenreallifedit.us for more resources on aligning your life, business, and dreams. Until next time, keep dreaming and keep manifesting your dreams into real life. Love you, friends.